Hello? Hello? Anybody home?
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
I am McLovin.
This is 3 is Company.
We're good! Streaky! Yeah!
Welcome in to 3 is Company. I am Q-Tip. Of course, we have Preston Poole and Kylie Osborne alongside with me. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at Q-Tip47, at Preston Poole 405, and at Kylie Osborne. Make sure and go check us out on X or Twitter, whichever you want to say. I still say Twitter. I know some people like to be formal and say X, or the Sports Animals YouTube page as we are streaming. My background has changed just a little bit if you are watching us from the last time. So my fiance was playing Sims on my computer, and instead of moving my entire computer setup back into my office, I was like, I'm just gonna bring my microphone into here. So you get the prettier setup. If you are into that kind of thing, I can't ever figure out which side. You got plants, you got fish, you have a vacuum. So hopefully you enjoy it all. Really.
Classic example of if you wanted to, you would, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, but Preston, how are you today?
Look, I mean, you can't get much better than the last 24 hours that I've went through. So I'm doing pretty good.
We'll talk about that here in just a second, what Preston's talking about. And if you're watching, you can see Preston. You can see the lightning bolts on his shoulders, the NFL shield on his chest. So, yeah, we'll talk about that team here in just a second. But Kylie, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I didn't have work today, so kind of just been chilling, watching some TV. Pretty good day.
Dude, must be nice.
Yeah.
It must be nice. Before we get started, just want to so this just popped up on my Twitter page as I'm just checking to make sure there's nothing that I missed in the last few hours or so, and it's popped up on my Twitter page. It's actually from 12 hours ago, but McDonald's is releasing a double Big Mac. Dude, I mean, like
How
it
much
was
more do you need? Oh my god.
It was a big burger. You know that guy that only eats Big Macs for every meal of his life?
Yeah, he's had probably 1 million.
Yeah.
By this point.
Do you think the double Big Mac is going to be the final straw? That's what's going to kill him?
Well, I mean, after a couple 100,000, I think that you're probably good. You can eat as many as you want.
Do you think if he ate a green bean or something, he would die? He would just his body wouldn't know what to do.
He would internally combust. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how. So, I mean, obviously, it's not exactly how I got my first kidney stone, but whenever I got my first kidney stones, I was in the best shape of my life, and I was in high school. I was running track. When you go out to restaurants and you've always been a pop or a sweet tea type of family when you go out to restaurants. It's no. I'm done with that, right? I'm going water only. So water only. Track season ends. I'm out at the lake. My dad gave me his boat. He's like, hey, take your friends out on the boat. So now I'm the cool guy. Boat, camping spot, right? Middle of the night. I was like, we're sitting around the campfire. I was like, screw it, dude. Let's have a Dr. Pepper. I don't even think I drank the full can of Dr. Pepper. And I got a kidney stone that night. So, yeah.
I don't know if you can get can you get those instantly or
no? I don't think so.
It's something that builds up over time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just making sure.
I still want to. I still think it was just that half a can of Dr. Pepper I drank. Yeah. I don't think it was anything else.
And I'm sure Google would tell you the same. So you're.
Yeah. I've gotten
everything Google says is 100% true.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the internet. Everything on here is true.
Yeah. And then I got a kidney stone on my second day of my professional job and had to be out for the rest of the week. So that was nice. Leave the morning show, gonna start a corporate career and then get a kidney stone. So gotta love it.
Well, at least it was the second day and not the first.
Well, the first day, so it was the first day I got to meet my team leader because he was gone my first day. And your first day up at corporate America, you spend half of it in orientation, more than half of it. I think I spent an hour at my desk. So they didn't know me. But, we're thriving now. That's all that matters. So, and speaking of thriving, let's go to the NFL. All right, let's just rip the Band-Aid off because while some teams decided to keep their crappy head coach who can't win a playoff game, other teams decided to just try to take a next step forward And that's exactly what the Los Angeles Chargers did. What was it, yesterday this news broke, Justin?
Yep, yesterday afternoon. They went out and look, ever since they fired Staley, I've been clamoring for one guy and one guy only. And that is one Jim Harbaugh. I've already bought my khakis from Lululemon. I only got one pair because, good Lord, they're very expensive. I don't know how he has those. Huh?
Does Jim Harbaugh buy them from Lululemon?
I'm sure he's not paid for a pair of pants from there in years.
I
After he said that he exclusively wears the Lululemon khakis, there's no way he's paid for a pair since then. But no, look, I mean, the best head coach out there on the market, the guy's a winner no matter where he's been, right? And you can say all the off the field antics and
the cheating,
which I don't think is true, personally.
I mean, it was
at
proven.
this point.
You thought it was true earlier this year, and all of a sudden...
No, but look, things
I mean,
change. Things change.
People change.
People change. People change jobs. And what I'm currently worried about now is winning football games, and that's what Jim Harbaugh does. He's the Chargers, and I don't know if you guys watched much of them. I watched a lot of them, unfortunately, the past couple of years, and they're one of the softest teams in all of the NFL, right? That's changing with Jim Harbaugh walking into the building immediately. Their softness, went down quite a few points just yesterday after him getting hired. Not even, talking to the guys yet. So tough guy, tough-minded head coach, and I mean they're going to play tough football and hopefully winning football with the Chargers. And I'm just excited to see who he brings in as the offensive coordinator. I've heard some names, like a Greg, was it Roman? I think is his name.
Former Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the names that has been thrown around that I've seen, which, I mean, it is what it is. I think when you have a talented quarterback like Justin Herbert, you can get things done. So, look, I haven't been this excited for Chargers football since Justin Herbert started playing, which was a few years ago. So, very excited.
Oh yeah, I think you're totally right. He's definitely proven winner in college and professional football. I'm not surprised that he wanted to go back to the NFL. I know that Q-Tip is about to start ranting about his NCAA investigations that he's leaving behind. But I mean,
it doesn't matter anymore, though. He's an NFL head coach, all right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it mattered to you 3 months ago. I mean, I can pull up those receipts. I'm pretty sure you were bashing them pretty hard.
I mean, I'm a changed man.
I wasn't gonna rant about Michigan. Look, I would if my team won a national title and I found out they were cheating, wouldn't care. I mean, just would not care. Like, let's be honest, okay? Like, think about being a Kansas basketball fan, okay?
They've been cheating for decades.
Yeah, they've been cheating ever since they realized they could cheat. So, I mean, and being a UCLA fan, like, they stopped cheating and we see how much they suck. So, it's just like I get it. But I did want to ask you this. Wanted to ask you this question. So I've been listening to a lot of draft podcasts, listening to Mel Kiper, been listening to Field Yates. I don't think Todd McShay works for ESPN anymore. So I wanted to ask you this. There's 3 quarterbacks that'll probably go 1, 2, 3, maybe 1, 2, 4. And everybody's debating the 4th guy, right? And I think it's pretty solid the 4th guy in this quarterback class is one J.J. McCarthy from the University of Michigan. One that your coach called the greatest Michigan quarterback ever. And if you remember all the great quarterbacks that have played at Michigan, one is named Mr. Tom Brady. So that's pretty high praise. So let me ask you this.
No.
Are you worried?
No.
What happens?
This is also the guy that said to Greeny a few years ago that Justin Herbert was one of the most talented young quarterbacks in all of the NFL and gushed about Herbert for, it was a 5 to 10 minutes. So, no, I mean, look, we know who the Chargers quarterback is.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know because I, just wanted to gauge your temperature there.
Now, Blake Corum, come on down. I'll take him on the squad any day of the week.
Yeah, because Austin Eckler's washed. So really appreciate the season he put in for my fantasy football team. Finishing 11th. And
I don't know if washed is the right term. Maybe underused this last season.
He sucked. I mean, he like came out game 1 was all right, and then he kind of sucked, and he got hurt. and he came back and he was good, and then he sucked.
Well, and then they just forgot that he was on the team basically, and he didn't do anything the rest of the season. So,
but to keep up with the NFL hiring cycle, so I know the Falcons hired somebody. I don't have that name in front of me, but
it was the Rams defensive coordinator. Was it Morris? I'm forgetting his first name. Raheem Morris, right?
And and he's bringing over. Well, I don't know if this is true or not, because I just heard Traber talking about it as I was driving home.
Potentially, yeah.
Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And I mean, if Zach Robinson's any good at coaching, he's got all the weapons, right? So he should be able to make him a name for himself.
I think the word Schefter used when he reported that earlier was he's going to meet with them to, be their offensive coordinator. It's not a done deal yet, but it's one of those things. All signs are pointing that way.
But the Raiders hired or kept Antonio Pierce. The Patriots went with Gerard Mayo. The Titans, Brian Callahan. The Panthers, Dave Canales, I think is how you say his last name. Former Buccaneers offensive coordinator.
But he was only there for 1 year, so that's kind of an interesting hire there.
Well, you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield, and we'll get to the playoff games here in just a second. But you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield, and I mean, we've kind of seen offensive coordinators have success, some not have success with Baker Mayfield, and a guy that led the Buccaneers in that offense, and what was a very questionable year going into with the success they had. Yeah, I mean, he was destined to be a head coach after the
Well, and it's interesting because their last view of him, calling an offense, they only scored 9 points on them in that game that they beat the Panthers 9-0.
Yeah. Well, they how that game went. They didn't really need to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, but the last game that the Buccaneers played was on Sunday, where they lost 23-31 to the Lions, in what was a really good game. And it just came down there to the end. Baker Mayfield had a chance to drive down the field, one timeout. I don't think they had used it yet. They had one timeout. They had the ball on the 10-yard line. I think they were right at the 2-minute warning. Throws a pick, right? Second play from the line of scrimmage on that drive. Throws a pick after leading a great drive the drive before to put them within striking distance. Make the stop, get the ball back, see what you can do. And they did that. They made the stop, got the ball back, and they threw the pick. But it was a great game. The Lions win another playoff game. They're in the NFC Championship game. It's great to see that a team that's gone 0-16 in this decade is in the NFC Championship game before the Cowboys are in my timeline, in my lifetime.
Well, and in your lifetime, I believe that the Lions have made more NFC Championship games than the Cowboys, or is that a wrong stat?
Well, I mean, it's one at least. So yeah. So the Lions beat the Buccaneers. I mean, the Lions just that offense just keeps churning, right? If it's going to be interesting to see what they do on Sunday, because right now their offense looks like the best in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, and especially with Laporta being healthy and good enough to go. I know I saw, I think it was today that he was still a little banged up and not practicing today. But I would assume if he's played the last two games and done well in those last two games, that he'll probably play come Sunday. And I mean, Q-Tip, this, doing Fantasy Island every Sunday. I've been gushing about the Lions all year long. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is one of the best wide receivers in the league. And Jared Goff, I mean, congrats to him, right? Things went south after he left Los Angeles with the Rams. What was that, a handful of years ago? Finds a spot in Detroit and got them going. And Dan Campbell, I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Dan Campbell, right? That guy seems like one of the best coaches to play for. Sounds like a great guy. And happy for the city of Detroit because, I mean, look, it's been a long, long time since they've had any success when it comes to their professional football team.
Long time coming for sure.
Yeah.
I know. I went back and I watched the Hard Knocks, the Aiden Hutchinson singing Billie Jean this week. I was just like, man, that was such a cool moment in Hard Knocks that I was like, I just got to go back and watch it because that was Dan Campbell. That was the Detroit Lions Dan Campbell year. And the team they're going to play, the 49ers, tried everything they could to give that game away. I mean, they really, really did try to give that game to the Green Bay Packers. They win 24-21 to the Green Bay Packers. And look, Brock Purdy turned into third year at Iowa State Brock Purdy in this game, in my opinion. I get everybody's saying he led this game-winning drive. Just go back, watch the drive. Or if you can't go back and watch the drive, you don't want to, read the play-by-play on that final drive. You know what it'll say? Brock Purdy, pass short. Brock Purdy, pass short. Brock Purdy, pass short. Hey, Christian McCaffrey, run. Christian McCaffrey, run. Brock Purdy, pass short. It's just the 49ers offense. The 49ers, if the Lions can get up on the San Francisco 49ers this weekend, good luck. Because that quarterback standing back there, and I get it, everybody wants to try to give him praise. He's Mr. Irrelevant. We got to sit here and watch him at Iowa State here, at least in Oklahoma, for all these years. So it's a cool story to see and watch and everything. But he's not inspired, right? He is the most system quarterback with a great team around him. And if the Lions jump up on the Niners, give me the Lions all day long, right? If they go in at halftime and the Lions are up 7, Lions are up 10, something like that, hammer that second half money line Lions. Even if it is like minus 200, hammer it and count your money, because I don't think Brock Purdy's leading any kind of game-winning comeback drive against a really good offense.
No, listen, I agree with you. I definitely think Jared Goff is the better quarterback in the situation. Although I think the 49ers have a better team overall.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they've lost, the last 2 NFC championships, and I think they're going to come and win this time. I don't think the Lions have what it takes to come in and actually beat them in this situation. So I'm definitely taking the 49ers in that one.
Yeah, and this one is in San Francisco, right? So
Yep.
that kind of sucks for Detroit and all that, but I love the Lions, and it's gonna hurt. I haven't seen anything on Deebo Samuel's status for Sunday. Obviously that didn't really hurt him that much against the Packers last week. As you mentioned, they kind of snuck in and won that game at the very end. But look, and to me, I saw the MVP rankings come out of who's they put the list of all the guys that have made the finalist list, and Brock Purdy was on there, and I'm kind of confused, right? I'm not saying he's a bad player. He does what needs to be done there in San Francisco to win ball games, but I don't know if he's MVP caliber type of player, right?
Yeah. It's just you look at his game log, and everybody will look back at that San Francisco game, the Philly game, and say, this was the moment that Brock Purdy could have won the MVP. And it kind of got proven how fake Philadelphia was. They kind of fell off a cliff there in December. But that one performance is really leading him to the MVP conversation, leading him into the award ceremony. He's not going to win it. Lamar Jackson should win the MVP.
Yeah.
And it'd be a disgrace if he doesn't. But if the San Francisco 49ers, like you mentioned, Kylie, they have the better team. There is no doubt in my mind they have the better team. But it's pretty damn close. It's a lot closer than what the Lions want to give people want to give the Lions credit for. That defense is shaky, right? That's what they're going to have to be worried about. They're going to have to, if they can figure out a way to stop Christian McCaffrey, right? Hold him under 80 yards or so rushing. I like the Lions' chances. I do. Yeah. I really like that line. That line is 7 points, and you can actually get even money on it right now, because I was looking at the odds before we started recording. And dude, I'm really thinking about it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm really thinking about it.
I don't see how it can be that big, though, seeing what the Lions have done this year and the teams that they've beat, right?
Yeah. Exactly. But
I don't get it.
I will see.
That line did look slightly inflated, but yes.
Probably just because it's in San Francisco. So, yeah. I got a question for you guys. Comeback player of the year in the NFL, right? I saw that finalist list come out. Baker Mayfield, DeMar Hamlin, and some other names. And I was really sitting back and thinking about it. Obviously, I think it's probably going to go to DeMar Hamlin because he died on the football field and came back and played actually this year some snaps. But I think that Baker Mayfield is squarely in that conversation of, what he was last year and playing for the couple of different teams. And then this year, taking the Buccaneers, winning the division, and making it into the divisional round of the playoffs. I think they have to really consider him as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how could they not? They just played hot potato with him last year, and now like they're actually like moving forward, almost winning their division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely. He's most 100% the comeback player of the year, besides the whole medical condition.
Yeah. I was about to say if it was any other factor besides, like you said, a guy dying on the field and then coming back and actually playing snaps, Baker Mayfield would win in a landslide. I don't think there'd be any question. But you
As
have
usual,
to.
he gets the short end of the stick on that one.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the guy did die on the field, so
Yeah.
Okay, I mean situationally. I mean, he's just in bad situations.
by the way, I mean, just terrible fake punt, right?
yeah.
With DeMar. I mean,
I know.
you can't do that to the guy, right?
My favorite tweet was what Sean McDermott was hoping with that DeMar Hamlin fake punt, and it was like when the Make-A-Wish kid like runs through the line of scrimmage, and I died. I was like, that's fantastic, because it kind of like that kind of looked like what he drew up. He just thought, snap the ball to this guy and everybody's gonna get out of the way.
Because he's not. I mean, I haven't watched a bunch of the Bills, but he's not always on like punt coverage and stuff, is he?
I don't know. I haven't seen him play a whole lot at all. Like, so the fact that he was suited up surprised me.
I mean, that's like a giveaway right there.
Yeah.
If he's out there in that position where they just directly snap it to him. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah.
Put fake DeMar Hamlin in. Yeah, I know. It was a dumb. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so we can talk about that game because we just kind of gave away what happened there. So the Chiefs Bills, well, hopefully you watched the game. But the Chiefs Bills game was
spoil at this point.
Yeah. It was a fantastic game. 27-24, the Chiefs end up winning. Like you said, they do run a fake punt at they're like 30-yard line or something like that. Yeah. Doesn't work for the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs end up winning this game. And man, the Chiefs, I think we debated this last week, Preston, or I know we've debated it at some point, or I debated it with somebody, I don't know. But the Chiefs are the modern day New England Patriots, right? They're going to be a team where everybody questions their talent, and Patrick Mahomes is going to go into a place, he's going to lead his team to a win somehow, some way, and he's just going to beat people, and you're going to go, yeah, that's the best quarterback that's in the NFL right now. So I'll let you comment on that, but I want to comment more on the Buffalo Bills. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, or at least a Buffalo Bill fan, I'd be so frustrated because, like, let's be honest, okay? The Buffalo Bills are the fourth best team in the AFC. With the hiring of Jim Harbaugh in Los Angeles and the quarterback that's there, they might be the fifth best team in the AFC now, right? And we can sit there and say, well, look how talented this team is. This team's got a really good defense. This team's got Josh Allen. Josh Allen has yet to play in an AFC championship game. Patrick Mahomes has never missed one. All right. Joe Burrow has Josh Allen's number. I think the Ravens and Bills have played once, and I think the Bills actually did end up winning that game. But if they played right now, the Baltimore Ravens would be favorite, and I would really like Baltimore in a playoff game against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So I just and then we have Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. I think, and I know it's being greedy and, not being appreciative. It's like, would you rather have really good regular seasons, win one playoff game, but know that you're going to be the fourth best team in the AFC with the current coach that you have, or fire that coach and see what you can do? Because I think Sean McDermott's time's up. He has to go because he can't get over the hump. He's proven it year after year after year after year. He can't get over the hump of Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or anybody in the AFC. He's just not getting there. So
yeah, and we talked about before the season that this was a big year for McDermott, Josh Allen, and the Buffalo Bills, and
they almost missed the playoffs. Like, it's not like they had a great year.
No, they had to. I mean, the back half of their season was where they really blossomed and got into the playoffs, obviously, because they started terribly.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about this is a big year for all those guys up there in Buffalo, and I mean the team's only getting older. They're going to be paying a lot of money to a bunch of old guys this next season. And of course, they still have Josh Allen. We'll see if Diggs wants to stay there. There's always something that comes out every single year about him being not happy there, and then he comes out and says, basically whatever the superstar diva wide receivers say every time this stuff happens with them. But yeah, I mean that the thing is, who's out there right now, to do that, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd been a lot true, but I don't know, Buffalo would go and do that.
How fitting would it be? I mean, that's where, have you ever watched the 30 for 30, the two Bills, where Bill Parcells, and I mean, it would be really cool to see Bill Belichick come back to Buffalo.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I guess
if you can't beat them, join them. All right.
I get, that's true. We'll see though. And then on the Chiefs point, out of hatred, I'll say that they're not a dynasty yet. Dynasties have to win three rings.
He's almost there.
So yeah, I mean, they've got 2, but got to win 3 to be a dynasty. And here in a couple of weeks, I'll probably be eating crow, I would imagine, because the NFL is going to rig it to where Travis Kelce wins and retires off to the sunset with Taylor Swift. So, but yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of that, are we going to talk about the Jason Kelce moment with the shirtless thing going on?
Well, and he said on their podcast that was his first time meeting Taylor.
Yep.
And he goes shirtless and is like picking up kids to meet Taylor. Like, I don't know. Obviously, that's just the way he is, right? He's a fun guy.
First time meeting her.
Yeah, like he's a fun guy, and that's his first impression on her. You got to think she's like, "What the hell is your brother doing?"
Yeah,
I think it's fun.
I think it was a lot of fun too. Did you see? I only saw a little clip. I don't actually listen to their podcast. I just watch their podcast in the clips.
I just see the TikTok clips too.
Did you see the thing where I don't know if it might have been the same story where his wife told him like you got to like keep it under control, and he was like, the first time I met you, I got drunk and passed out at the bar. Like that's just part of the Jason Kelce experience. So,
he's great at first impressions.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Houston Texans by 24 points. They just kind of throttled the Texans. The Texans, I mean, that's another team, right? Up and coming. We'll see what they can do. I think they got to get CJ Stroud more weapons for sure. I like Nico Collins. Tank Dell had a good season whenever he was healthy.
They need a good running back, right?
Yeah,
to complete that off because they've got 2 great wide receivers. I think even their tight end, Schultz, is a good tight end. But they've got to get a better running back than who did they have? Was it Singletary that they were running with?
Pierce, yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, they get a running back. Maybe they sign a veteran wide receiver that's not 1,000 years old like Robert Woods.
Yeah.
And I think this team will be fine. That's another up and coming team with a great quarterback. So
yeah, and now it's all do they lose? Which I don't think any of their coordinators got head coaching jobs, so they might still be there.
Mm-hmm.
But do they lose any of those guys? Which obviously, if they're not getting head coaching jobs, I doubt they split from where they're at. But yeah, I mean, look, they're set up for success in years to come, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk some hoops. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off of this one first. So the Oklahoma Sooners were in action earlier this week, playing the Texas Longhorns, the 11th ranked Oklahoma Sooners, I should say. And this is coming off of what a lot of people I saw on Twitter call Porter Moser's most impressive road win since he's been at OU, right? Maybe one of his most impressive wins since he's been at OU in totality. So he goes to Cincinnati, beats Cincinnati on Saturday, and then comes home on what is a huge game against Texas, who had just upset, I believe, top 10 ranked Baylor. I think they were in the top 10, but they upset Baylor in a last-second buzzer beater layup, and they get Texas at home. The place gets packed. It's exciting, and then they get the doors blown off of them, right? 75-60. They lose to Texas. The game was tied at halftime, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch the first half. I turned it on in the second half and just watched them get their heads kicked in. So Texas does beat Oklahoma, and this team, I get it, right? They're ranked 11th in the country. They're 15-4. They're doing a lot better than what was expected. But I remember, right before we were talking about this right before we started recording, and Preston said, "Yeah, they're doing a lot better than expected." You know, what were they picked, like 8th in the Big 12? They're 10th in the Big 12 right now. So they get into Big 12 play. They had a really good out non-conference schedule.
I mean, they had a great non-conference. They only lost
Yeah.
one game in non-conference.
One game to North Carolina. But look at the teams they beat. The teams they beat are not that great. I mean,
the best
like
team is
USC.
yeah,
exactly.
and then
USC.
Providence as well. Was a good win, but other than that, I mean,
Yeah, they beat Arkansas, and I think the hype
Yeah.
started to really get real. This team is a team they could, and they could, like they very well could. They could find their groove. They could get hot. But I would imagine this team's gonna pick up a couple more wins in the Big 12. They might, upset a top 15 team. They might go beat Baylor, upset them, beat BYU, still be ranked right there in the top 15, get into the tournament, maybe be a 5 seed, and then get upset in the first round. I mean, this is the perfect storm of a team that is incredibly fake right now. I mean, it's just whenever the light shines the brightest, they go away. And it's just it's sad. I mean, it's sad to see because Oklahoma basketball fans, they get excited, they turn on the games, they subscribe to ESPN Plus because God forbid the games be on a regular TV network. I mean, God help us, okay? No, you gotta pay $5 a month if you want to watch Oklahoma basketball, and watch terrible picture and listen to terrible commentators. So that's another story. But they get into a big moment, into a big game. They get put on ESPN, the mothership, against a team that has had a disappointing year in Texas. I get that they beat Baylor. This team was ranked lower in the Big 12. They were not ranked in the top 25, and they just got their heads kicked in.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all been like the slow starts, right? That's what we've seen over the last couple of games with them is just slow starts where they let teams get up on them and they have to fight back. And unfortunately, it was tied at halftime against Texas, but another slow start out of the gate, and you're down. So they've got to fix that. And I can't say that I've watched a whole bunch of OU basketball because they normally play when the Thunder are playing. So I've got more eyeballs on the Thunder right now than that. So, but yeah, I mean, look, something's got to change, right? As far as the slow start, you got to get out there, you got to get pumped up, and you got to start. And I'm not saying like you don't miss a shot, right, for the first 5 minutes, but you got to get out there and you got to at least keep pace with the other team in the opening moments of the game. Because if not, then you're just digging yourself a hole.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Q-Tip, what you said is probably pretty realistic about them possibly making, into the tournament, probably getting kicked right back out. I mean, just like a couple years ago, I think it was what was it, Kruger's last season? Pretty similar happened. I can picture that happening again.
Yeah, and they need more production out of their big men. I mean, they really do. Godwin, he has his moments, and I don't know if he's hurt or something. He only plays 11 minutes against Texas, while Hughley plays 22 minutes. So maybe he's hurt. I mean, the best player on the floor for them was Jalen Moore. And that can't happen. It really can't. I mean, McCollum, who was getting all this praise at the beginning of the year, a lot of people started putting him on draft boards, goes 3 of 11 against Texas, 1 of 6 from 3. If my point guard was one of 4 from 3, I would pull him off to the side and I say, you shoot another one, you're going to take your ass, you're going to sit on the end of that bench, and you will not get back up. Okay? I mean, there's no reason that a guy that's supposed to be facilitating the offense should be 1 of 6 from the 3-point line in a college basketball game. So they need to get more production out of their big men. They need their star to actually step up and play as a star if they want to be competitive. And that's just it.
We need to get you on the sideline.
Dude, look, if Porter needs energy, all right, he doesn't seem like a guy that does, but I'll do it, okay? I'll do it.
As long as we've got you in like some ankle braces too, though.
Hey, there's no third base sitting out there for me to slide into, okay? So you watch yourself there, all right? I'm good on a basketball court.
Okay.
It's just whenever I'm trying to slide into bases.
Get you on a diamond and things.
Dude, I wasn't built to be a baseball player. It just wasn't. Okay, but you get me.
You're definitely much better than. Oh, you're definitely much better than me at the little door basketball up at the studio.
But yeah, so now let's talk about the professionals. Let's talk about the good guys. Let's talk about the guys that actually know how to win a basketball game. The Oklahoma City Thunder. So, by the way, the Oklahoma City Thunder played the Portland Trail Blazers a few days ago, and Chauncey Billups tried to call a timeout, wasn't seen, and then he got double teased, ejected from the game, and the Portland Trailblazers protested the game, like filed an official protest, and it actually did just come out. It says the Portland Trailblazers are letting lapse the 48-hour deadline to file a protest over the game. I'm confident they communicated their frustration in the league office about the final moments of the game. So
Yeah, they did that because it wasn't going to get like overturned or anything. Like the NBA doesn't do that. Teams file those whatever they're called every single year, and nothing happens with them.
yeah.
So
But the Oklahoma City Thunder, red hot. And it just came out just a couple hours ago. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all-star starter. And I don't know if you saw the stat. I don't remember who shared it, truthfully. But I think Steph Curry had a 9-year streak going of when he was actually healthy.
yeah.
And to be an all-star starter, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the one that put that to rest. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a starter for the Western Conference. Something, by the way, Damian Lillard could never do. The guy that killed, quote unquote, the Thunder organization and put him into the dark times. That guy never started while he was in the West. He is starting this year when he went to the soft East. But so he is being a starter. He is a starter this year. So good job, Dame. He never started in the West, unlike Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, and what I thought was pretty cool that I didn't really think was going to happen is that he was voted the number one guard by the media and his peers, the players and coaches in the NBA. So that's kind of what put him there at the number 2 spot in the guard rankings, because I think he was 3rd in the fan vote because of all the Steph Curry bots that are out there that are voting for Steph every day. But good for Shai. I mean, look, a young guy that has, a whole bunch of potential in the NBA. And it's good to see that he's here in Oklahoma City and starting in the All-Star game. I'm really excited to watch. Yeah. And, depending on what the Thunder's record is, I think by like Wednesday or Thursday, Mark Daigneault might be the head coach for the Western Conference.
Yeah, and I was sitting here looking at it because I was curious too, because Mark Daigneault could be the head coach for the Western All-Stars. The Thunder are on a 4-game winning streak, by the way.
Which I don't expect to be stopped anytime soon.
Yeah, I was about to say, you look at their next 2 games, they play at New Orleans, then at Detroit.
Which the Pelicans game is going to be tough, but the one on Sunday probably not.
Yeah, but they got a day's rest, something that they haven't been getting a lot of in January. So they're getting a day's rest, and they also have a day to rest in between New Orleans and Detroit. So I would imagine that they're going to give the Pelicans their best shot, and then they'll go to Detroit. They'll kind of treat that game like they did Portland, where they kind of come out slow. Maybe hopefully they can put them away early, and then they don't got to keep their guys in. But the big
hopefully
game,
they play it like they did against the Spurs the other day.
Yeah, exactly. But the big game to circle if you want Mark Daigneault to coach in the All-Star game is Monday, the 29th. They play the Minnesota Timberwolves at home.
Yeah, which they've been on a little bit of a skid since they lost to the Thunder last week. So
yeah,
we'll see how that is. But yeah, currently number 1 in the West right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I mean, who would have thought? Because I definitely would have. We argued about this all off season.
You really thought that this team was going to be great.
I thought they'd be about where they were last year. Obviously, they're closing in on that right now, just at the midway point of the basketball season. I think they're on pace to win just under 60 ball games this year, which is just incredible. I mean, they've been shooting just historic numbers all season long. They've been playing great defense. That's the thing about young teams in the NBA is that for some reason they like to play defense, or they're better at defense, and that's probably just because they give a damn more than the guys that have been in the league for 10 to 15 years, like a Kevin Durant or a Damian Lillard or stuff like that. So it's just I haven't been this excited for Thunder basketball. I mean, since probably Paul George came to Oklahoma City, and I think this is going to turn out a whole hell of a lot better than that did.
Yeah, hopefully, they just don't disappear in the playoffs like PG did.
Yeah.
So
and we'll see how that works, because they're going to have a pretty high playoff seed, I would imagine, this season.
Yeah, and then hopefully they make a trade. I mean, look, I get it. I get everybody saying this is a young team. I can't just let a young team gel. First off, that's fantastic, right? You keep dreaming out there in La La Land, all right, and tell me you don't know how basketball teams work, because you need a veteran. You need somebody that can ground the locker room, and they don't have that. And they also need rebounding. They need rebounding, Preston. Look, Chet,
Look, I have never disagreed with you as far as the rebounding and all that goes.
Chet, he looked great whenever he's playing against Wembanyama, okay, and grabbing boards, right? I think that was one of his highest rebounding games of the season when they played the Spurs. So just watch that game. You're like, wow, this guy can actually rebound. No, he can't. Okay, no, he can't. So,
well, and to be fair to Chet is that he's been on a little bit of a cold streak the last about 2 weeks.
So go put some effort in and grab a board.
And I think that last night against the Spurs, that kind of awoken something in him because you see Wembanyama chirping at him during the game, looking at him, staring him down when they're just trading buckets there in that second half. So, yeah, they need rebounding, but again, who really is out there that's going to solve that problem at the moment? And I don't know who that is.
I need to just sit down and put a list together. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? We'll be doing radio on Saturday. So compile
Porter
that list.
can use me on the bench and Sam can use me in the office. All right. And my services are here for both of them.
Yeah.
All right?
He'll put you in the
jack of all
cubicle.
trades over here.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I can go up to Stillwater and just coach the basketball team because that guy can't do it. So, yeah. So
the basketball guru here in the state of Oklahoma.
Exactly. You just let me know. All right. You just let me know. I got it all right here. All right. You want Thunder win a championship? You give me all those first round picks that I can trade off. We can win a championship. Okay? We can win a championship. So you give me all that NIL money and some loose morals. We can win a national title. We can win a national title in Stillwater.
Yeah.
So
Open up the checkbook a
little bit.
Yeah, I just need you to look the other way for a second. All right, let's talk about everybody's favorite player, Luka Doncic. So first off, let's talk about an issue that's going on in the NBA. Okay, so Luka Doncic goes viral the other night because he has a fan thrown out, has a fan kicked out of the arena. This guy was wearing a Devin Booker jersey, howling at Luka all game long.
In Dallas too.
In Dallas. Tim McMahon takes a video of this fan walking out, quote, just, tweets and says, yeah, Luka, this guy was chirping at Luka and Luka had him thrown out. And
I think he called him fat and told him to get on a treadmill.
and then during the post game, Luka sits down and he goes and he calls out Tim McMahon. He goes, it doesn't surprise me that you were the one that puts out something negative about me. Instantly taking shots at Tim McMahon, coming after him, was like, it doesn't surprise me. You hate me. And he just tried to play victim, right? He was like, poor me. I had somebody that paid hundreds of dollars for this seat, had him thrown out of this game. But yeah, I'm and you made me to look like a jackass. No. All right. If you want to be a jerk, okay, and you want to get people thrown out of the games, first off, I don't think that should be a thing. Okay. Look, you're telling me if it's a packed stadium, right, there's not one empty seat in the middle somewhere, sure, throw them out, okay? Walk them out, say, hey, you mess up again, we're throwing you out of here. But just move them up. Like, let's be honest, okay? If somebody's sitting courtside and they're chirping and chirping and chirping, and Russell Westbrook or Luka or LeBron James or Embiid or somebody soft like that wants to get their feelings hurt and throw that person out of the game, all right, outside of racial remarks, okay, you call somebody a racial remark, get thrown out of the game. Truthfully, the player should be able to punch you, all right? But just throw them in the middle. I mean, let's be honest. Okay?
Put them up in the nosebleeds.
You don't even need to do that, okay? Put them in the middle. I've sat there on press row at games and watched people argue over the stands, right, and almost get in a fight. Put them where they belong, okay? You don't got to put them way up there. They obviously have money. They're going to make people feel stupid up there. So don't do that. Put them right there in the middle where they can be loud and chirpy, but nobody can actually hear them except for the people that are sitting, in the media rows or Matt Pinto.
Yeah. Shocker, though, that the guy that complains about every single call and every single thing in a basketball game also kicks a guy out and then complains that he got caught kicking a guy out, where you can clearly see him on the court turn and point over into the guy's direction. I mean, just shocker that the biggest complainer in the NBA keeps on complaining and is more focused on complaining at the moment than winning basketball games. Because I think they currently sit at the 10 seed right now, 8 seed, something like that. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but they missed the playoffs last year, and they re-signed Kyrie Irving. They have Luka, and I know they've been hurt and haven't really played, consistently together over the last, month or so, because I think both of them have missed some time in that spot. But to Mavs fans and the one that's listening knows who I'm talking at. Told you so. I've been saying that it's not going to work out with those two and just a bunch of guys, right? They don't have a third that's going to go out there and dominate a game if Kyrie's out, because Luka's going to get his no matter what in any game that he plays. But they've got to have another guy that goes out there when Kyrie's out or Kyrie's not on to go out there and score points, because Luka can score 50 to 60 every night, but you're still losing basketball games.
Yeah.
Kicking a fan out of the stadium, honestly, to me at this level is soft. It's entitled almost, just because you got to be listening to people say all kinds of things every single game and just turn around and be like, okay, you know what? You're out. Come on, dude, get over it.
Yeah. And plus, he's part of the reason that there's a rivalry with the Suns, right? There's a whole thing, the Suns and the Mavericks, where everyone calls Luka Doncic Devin Booker's dad. So I'm over him. He's one of the best players in the NBA, but truthfully, I just can't stand him.
Yeah.
And let fans be fans too. They're paying all this money to see you. That's where your paycheck is coming from.
Plus,
get over it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that he called him fat and needs to get on the treadmill, right? Come on.
He does.
He's a little chunky. He smokes hookah and drinks beer before games. He could probably get on a treadmill for a little bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt for him to get locked in. It really would.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating in the NBA. It really is. I don't know. So trending on Twitter was National Blowout Association, because I guess all of the NBA games are blowouts right now.
And I've seen that a few times this season. I forget which game it was, but there was 3 or 4 games on that day, and they were all blowouts, because it was, I forget who the Thunder were playing, because the Thunder were playing and blowing someone out. Oh, it was the night they blew out the Trailblazers.
Oh yeah,
a few weeks ago, because TNT was searching for a game that wasn't a blowout. And we could go to Oklahoma City, but that one's a blowout as well. So we'll take you to New York City, where we have an even closer blowout than 20 points. So there's been a little bit of that this season in the NBA.
Yeah. Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Then you just watch, superstars drop 60 points, 70 points, and shoot 25 free throws. So much fun, watching Joel Embiid play basketball, and probably going to win another MVP award for shooting 40 free throws a game. I mean, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I was talking with some people at the station about that. I think it was last night. Just the refereeing in the league, and there's a few squads of referees that do all the big games, and they're good, right? But once you get down to the, like a Thunder and Trailblazers game, they're not assigning Tony Brothers or anyone like that to do that basketball game, and it gets pretty bleak during those moments.
Yeah, it really does. So
just even going back to the last Thunder and Trailblazers game, where they missed Billups calling that timeout. There's stuff like that.
Well, and they missed Mark calling a timeout a few games ago. Yeah. How are we not hearing this? It's not that loud in these arenas. Especially right now. Maybe a playoff game, I get it. But you can't see that. You can't hear him right there in your ear. So yeah, it's a disgrace. I mean, let's be honest. NBA, if you need somebody to officiate basketball games, you just let me know.
Now he's putting on the zebra stripes too.
Yeah,
exactly. You're in the office. You're
I guess NBA doesn't wear
coaching.
zebra stripes.
Yeah. All right. Did I miss anything before I move on to our last thing?
I think we covered just about everything.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any big pieces of news. The last thing is just a quick RIP. RIP to Jessie Jane. If you have not looked up Jessie Jane's work, I would suggest you do that to honor her. She was found passed away in her Moore home today. So just RIP to a great actress of our generation.
Yeah, I actually went to school. He was a little bit younger than me, but her son. So yeah, that's very tragic to hear, especially not that I knew him or anything because he was younger than me, but that sucks to hear.
Yeah, it does.
And more legend too, by the way.
Yeah, more legend for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, all
He's
right.
well known in these parts.
Well known everywhere. Okay, so yeah, if you haven't, do yourself a favor. If you're listening to this at work, don't do yourself the favor. Wait till you get home to honor Jesse Jane, please. We don't make this to be the reason you're fired. But make sure and follow us on Twitter.
This might be the reason we're fired.
At QTip47, at PrestonPool405, and at Kylie Osborne. Sports Animal YouTube page, Sports Animal Twitter if you want to go check out the stream, as well as the Sports Animals